Hi there, Diego. Nice to see that you sent us essays for correction. Let's take a look at what you wrote here. First, we've got the English and homestay letter, so let's see what you wrote. Dear Mr. James, don't forget a comma after the word James. First of all, hope you are well. My name is Diego Ponce. I am a doctor in computer science, graduated from Harvard School. I'm looking to visit London next year for an international English program. That will be very helpful in my professional and personal career. As general information, this course is an 8-month training program at the Cambridge University. All right, so let's talk about this. There were a few things that I would like to see changed. This, first of all, it's a formal letter. So you need to have an appropriate formal tone. You need to use formal language, formal expressions, formal vocabulary, and so forth. Okay? Now, that said, let's change that first sentence where you say, first of all, hope you are well. It's not entirely appropriate. So typically what we do with these formal letters is the first thing we do is we write the reason for our letter. Okay, so here an appropriate introduction would be, Dear Mr. James, comma, I am writing to thank you for agreeing to host me for the English and Homestay program. All right, that's the purpose of your letter, isn't it? Because you're introducing, you're asking some questions, and so you're going to thank them too. So the next thing you could do is then start off with that introduction. Then, so in the next sentence, you could say, my name is Diego Ponce. I'm a doctor of computer science. And this was awkward for me. I am a doctor in, can't really say that. You can say, I have a PhD in computer science from Harvard University. That makes the most sense, okay? And then you had a lot of commas that you just did not need. So let's change some of those around as well. I'm looking to visit London next year for the English and Homestay program. It does have a name, so use it. Which will be very helpful in my professional and personal career. And then I wouldn't even have written any of this, because if this person has agreed to be a homestay, then he probably already knows. Okay, so it is my understanding that you are accepting students abroad who are looking for accommodation, and a friend of mine gave me some recommendations about yourself. Okay, about you. Well, I think you're kind of missing the point here. Basically, this program, English and Homestay, has found some families that have agreed to host students for a particular duration, and that's who Mr. James is. He's one of those families who has agreed to open his home to you. So saying that you found out about a friend and everything, it's kind of showing a lack of understanding about what a homestay is. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that they're going to look for. The examiners are going to look for to make sure that you've understood the topic. So, in fact, it will mark you down for not being aware of that. Okay, then I would like to take the opportunity to ask, you don't ask some assistance, you ask, well, this isn't really assistance that you're asking questions. So I would like to take this opportunity to ask some questions about the United Kingdom in general. And that's fine, but absolutely not a list. No way. It has to be paragraph form. Okay, remember, you're writing a letter. It's a test of English, so you cannot do this. You absolutely have to write full paragraphs. So let's talk about how you could have done that. All right, let's assume this is okay. First of all, could you please recommend an amount of money that I should have with me for meals? Okay. And then you can say something else about that. This will be very helpful in terms of my budgeting. And then secondly, or additionally, I would like to know how much money I will need for transportation between your home and the college. Okay? My final question is with regard to the clothing that I need to bring. Should I have any special clothing to consider for special events or for certain weather conditions that I may not be aware of? Okay, so that's how you want to extend this out a little bit. Now let's look at this paragraph. My plan is to travel on May 1st, capital M, from Mexico, full stop. The flight arrives in London on May 2nd, capital M, 9 a.m. London time. So I will take the bus from the airport to your home, and I'm planning to get to your place at 11 a.m. Full stop. Capital P, please let me know, excuse me, if that works for you. Thank you very much in advance. Best, full stop. Hold on, here we go. Best regards, lowercase r. The second word is always lowercase and then a comma. Okay, so Diego, this does have some errors. This does have some things you have to work on. As you can imagine, in all 4 of the criteria for IELTS, so I want you to be a little careful with these things. Okay, and let's take a look at your task 2. Okay, so here's your task 2. International marketing. Depending on the country, people can react in different ways when publicity comes from sources other than local. Some persons think it can be very helpful and brings new conceptions like customs and social behaviors. Others think can be disturbing in people's day-to-day lives. All right, so a couple of problems here. First of all, it's grammar. Grammar is a big problem. But not only that, you're trying to rephrase the topic, but just reading this, we're not 100% clear on what the topic is, because you're talking about publicity from sources other than local. That's not an entirely clear synonym for international marketing, okay? And then on top of that, you haven't told us where you stand. You haven't told us your position. You have to do that because it says here, discuss both views and give your opinion. It's important that you make your position, your opinion clear in that introduction, okay? So that's a few things about this. Now let's see if we can clean up some of that grammar. Depending on the country, people can react in different ways when faced with international marketing. Some people think it can be very helpful and brings new, I don't understand this, new conceptions, new concepts like customs and social behaviors, full stop. However, others think this can be disturbing, not disturbing, you mean disruptive, you mean invasive, you mean a negative influence, okay, in the host country. And then you could say, in my opinion, although whatever, I believe this, okay? So although the opposite of whatever you think, I do believe on the whole this. Okay, so first, let's about how publicity can affect people thinking it can be imposed in different ways and what they normally do about it. All right, first of all, this is just too informal, all right? It's too informal and grammatically there are mistakes, so let's get rid of those. Okay. We don't use contractions in IELTS, okay, so avoid this type of language. Like I said, it's also a little too informal. So let's try something a little different. Firstly, publicity can affect people. I don't understand this. Thinking it can be imposed. That doesn't make any sense to me. In different ways. I'm sorry. I don't understand this sentence. Even though I fixed this, I still don't understand the rest of the sentence. In different ways and what they normally do about it. So I'm just not clear about that. A good example is marketing and big advertisements around the city. In a regular city, in most of the countries, people, what's going on there? No periods here. So a good example is marketing in big advertisements around the city. Full stop. In a regular city in most of the countries, people commute every day to work or take the children to school. Full stop. Along the way, all these huge announcements, comma, especially the ones that come, no S, from international fast food chains are unwanted, and this sometimes disrupts people's mood, their humor. I'm not really understanding about this. All right, Diego, this is underdeveloped. You haven't really said very much about the topic here, so you absolutely have to do a little more. I just checked your word count. It's 254 words, so you're fine, but despite the fact that you met the word minimum, you still haven't really said very much to us about this issue. So Let's see. What are you really telling us? This has nothing to do with international marketing. I mean, yeah, use the word international here, but that's it. You're just talking about this barrage of advertisements we have on a daily basis. What you need to do is talk more specifically about international marketing. All right, and if you're not clear about what it is, do a search on the internet to see what it means, and think about how and why some people might think of it as being invasive and intrusive. Why would people find it, consider it unwelcomed? All right, and that's what you need to develop, and you need to express that viewpoint and explain why people might feel that way. Okay, then let's go to this paragraph. Then we have the other side of the coin, which is people who believe global publicity help to the economic growth of the country and helps directly with social behavior. All right, again, grammar and vocabulary. Then we have the other side of the coin. Again, you're not speaking informally to a group of people. There's a formal academic style letter, email, I can't talk, sorry, essay. It's a formal essay. So you need to use the appropriate language here. What you could have said instead is something like, in contrast, there are people who believe global international marketing helps the economic growth of the country and helps directly with social behavior. A good case is big companies that are trying to open branches in that country, full stop. This starts with publicity, brings people's, apostrophe S, attention, and then opens factories, full stop. This gives people career options, sometimes just in a city, others in the whole country. All right, again, it's underdeveloped. There was a lot more you had to say here. There was more kind of meat that this paragraph needed in order to feel like, yeah, we're, actually reading a full structured paragraph, okay? Now, the other problem with this is that the only thing you really talked about was the idea of this thing about career options. You haven't told us about social behavior. You haven't told us how it spreads ideas, language, or culture. All you really told us that we can kind of grasp onto as an idea is that, people can get jobs like this. So that's just not enough. Okay, so conclusion now. In my opinion, international marketing helps enormously. No, in my opinion, international marketing helps the country's economics enormously. It impacts directly with new job opportunities, get rid of this S, like bringing new companies, new manufacturing factories to the country. Also, it shows new languages, customs on how people from outside their country are doing things, and finally, if this is managed correctly, can be beneficial for everyone. All right, here, I can't say I'm really satisfied with this conclusion. It's basically just the same language again. You haven't shown us anywhere in your essay how any of this stuff happens. You haven't showed us about the new languages. You haven't showed us about the new customs. So it's just like you're mentioning it for a second time, but never do you actually go into any detail? Do you actually go into any analysis about this? Okay, and so what you have is essentially a very undeveloped essay. Now, what I would like to see from you is I'd like to see you on the online course. I think you would find this really, really beneficial. There's so much information on how to extend your answers, how to develop your answer, and how to make sure that you're creating a cohesive and coherent essay that can get you the score you need. Okay, please look into that option. I think you'll find it immensely beneficial. Okay, I hope we get to see more of your work in the future, so best of luck to you.